Hi everyone, my name is Dennis Sun, and the title of my project is Bridging the Handmade and the Digital, the Tripod Authorship of Computer-Generated Motion Pictures. Now, before we get started, let's all experience a software art together. It's called The Battle of Algiers, created by Mark Lafia and Fang Yuling in 2006. As a piece of software art that features computer-generated motion pictures, The Battle of Algiers recycles scenes from the 1966 film of the same name by Italian director Gillo Pontecorvo. In this project, you can put two types of screenshots on the screen, which is the Algerian cells, representing the Liberation Front, or the French cells, representing the French army. And then we click Start. The software is going to use the screenshots we provide to make up a larger moving image. Perhaps what's most eminent about the Battle of Algiers is that it exemplifies a unique and unprecedented type of authoring in computer-generated motion pictures, which I call tripod authorship. From the Battle of Algiers, we can see that the basic structure of tripod authorship is essentially a tripartite partnership among the artist, Lafia and Ling, the viewer, which is me, and the autonomous computer. Yet, the core mechanism of tripod authorship is that it entails a seemingly paradoxical type of authoring, meaning that all three participating parties are giving creative inputs in a spectatorial manner. In this presentation, I will fully unravel how tripod authorship comes into being and how it gives rise to this paradoxical phenomenon. To this end, I'm going to unravel tripod authorship by tracing its historical lineage to handmade moving image. By explaining how it comes into being, we're also going to see how it addresses the materials of motion pictures. To figure out what is handmade moving image and how it informs the emergence of tripod authorship in CG motion pictures, I'm going to draw from Gregory Zingman. In Making Images Move, he defined the handmade discourse with two central handmade elements: the manipulation of moving image material and the operation of chance. First of all, moving image material refers to the material bases that make up motion pictures, such as the film celluloid, the electrons on an analog TV screen, or the pixels on a digital screen. The manipulation of these materials follows two broad approaches. First, direct physical efforts. One good example of this approach is the scratch film, which bears the direct physical imprints of their makers drawing and scratching on the film strip, such as New Zealand artist Len Lai's A Color Box. The second approach is the use of handmade apparatuses which bear the maker's signature marks, such as Fluxus artist Namjoon Park's magnet TV. This TV magnet assemblage allows the viewers to control electrons on the TV screen with a magnet, and it is the vivid reflection of Park's personal mark. In addition to the manipulation of moving image material, the second central element of the handmade is chance. On the one hand, painting and scratching on tiny film frames naturally come with trials and errors, which make the end product rather unpredictable. On the other hand, this chance operation can also take center stage in works such as Magnet TV. In one interview, Pike confessed that he only held the magnet in front of the screen and never thought of putting it on top of the TV. It was a random viewer in the crowd who came up with that idea, and the screen burst into a beautiful image. In this sense, Magnet TV as a handmade practice centers on a high degree of indeterminacy. The position of the magnet and the moving image it produces depends on the random passerby who chances upon this work. With a comprehensive understanding of the handmade, we have to know how it is inherited by CG motion pictures in order to understand the emergence of tripod authorship. To this end, we need to know what is CGI. The material component of a digital image is pixels. Behind each pixel is a series of binary numbers which describe its color and brightness. What starts to qualify CG motion picture as a handmade practice is that it centers on manipulating this material basis of digital image. By accessing the numbers behind pixels with computer software, CGI technology directly controls the colors and brightness of pixels. And by directly controlling the pixels, it can change the composition of a digital picture, creating visual content in a continuous fashion and generating motion picture with various techniques, such as animation. This technique entails direct physical efforts in manipulating pixels. The animator draws and animates images on drawing tablets. According to the tablet's software, the pixels on the digital screen react to the animator's stylus pen. Second, designing new software. Unlike animation, the handmade energy of this technique goes into designing software to manipulate pixels and make motion picture. As mentioned in the beginning of this presentation, the Battle of Algiers is precisely this type of software art. With algorithm developed by Lavia and Lin, it manipulates pixels to form screenshots in Pontecorvo's film and generate a larger moving image by rapidly repositioning these images. With that being said, what is the specific handmade context of CG motion picture that gives rise to tripod authorship? In analog handmade practices such as magnet TV, the participation of both the artist and the viewer is not rare. As a handmade practice, CG motion picture differs from its analog predecessors in the sense that the medium which generates motion pictures, the computer, is no longer passively reacting to the artist and the viewer like an analog TV. By gaining a certain degree of autonomy, it also joins the creative process. And by analyzing the operation of two central handmade elements in this context, I shall finally unveil the three building blocks of tripod authorship. First of all, let's focus on the manipulation of moving image material, which gives rise to two building blocks. The first building block is the openness of CG motion picture. According to Bernard Stiegler in the discrete image, a celluloid film cannot be altered once the images are imprinted on the film strip, since you do not have differentiated access to its smallest unit, the film grain. Now, of course we know we can manipulate the image on the film strip with handmade methods. However, this manipulation is not infinite. Either the process of degradation completely erases the image, or there are too much paint and other substance on the film strip. It can no longer fit in a projector. Either way, there is a point where moving images do not exist anymore. On the other hand, a digital moving image can be infinitely manipulated. With the computer, you can always control the pixels and generate new image content. In this process, you do not have to worry about degradation or adding too much material that the file is too large to be played. In addition to the openness of CG motion picture, the second building block arises from pixel manipulation is real-time creation. According to David Rodwick in The Virtual Life of Film, there is a concept of real-time construction in digital motion picture. Nothing exists in pictorial form before they show up on the screen, since the visual content are stored as digits. Distinguished from real-time construction, real-time creation describes a situation where there is no pre-stored data. A new motion picture is created by processing new data input and ordering pixels with CG technology in real time. For example, in the Battle of Algiers, a new moving image is generated with its computer software, which processes the screenshots we provide as data input and manipulates the pixels in the present. Upon the first and the second building blocks, we're finally going to look at the other central handmade element, the element of chance. By investigating how chance operates in the context where three parties of creative agents are involved, we're going to review the last building block of tripod authorship. There is no source of determination among the artist, the viewer, and the computer. None can determine the outcome of their collective inputs. To illustrate this last building block and fully unveil the tripod authorship, let's go back to our first example, the Battle of Algiers. Since the CG motion picture in the Battle of Algiers is created in real time, no party can determine the outcome in advance. What's more, no party can single-handedly control the creative process of this new motion picture in the present. Lafayette and Lin, as the artists, only designed the computer software, which limits the viewer and the computer's agency respectively. The viewer, on the one hand, can only provide new data input. The number of Algerian and French screenshots and their relative positions are recognized by the computer as data. The computer, on the other hand, can only develop this data input and generate a motion picture accordingly. In this sense, all three parties are subjecting their creative inputs to the operation of chance because, first of all, the artists do not intervene directly. And secondly, since the computer is autonomous, the viewer does not know how the software may develop his or her data. Therefore, the viewer does not know what motion picture will be generated according to his input. And lastly, although the computer is responsible for developing data and generating motion picture, the motion picture it generates is fundamentally open. Therefore, it can be infinitely altered in real time as the viewer can provide new data input at any moment. As a consequence, all three parties face a high degree of indeterminacy and embrace the element of chance. In other words, there is no source of determination among them. With all three building blocks, we can fully unveil the tripod authorship of CG motion picture. Since no party alone can determine the outcome of their creative inputs, all of them are held in suspense by what might happen next on the screen. Therefore, the authors that enter this tripartite partnership are as much the creators as they are the spectators of their own work. Here are the works that I used in this presentation and some extra questions for further discussions. Thank you so much.